class. Today we're going to be talking about socio-emotional development in infancy. We were supposed to be in person today, so I'm going to skip over a few slides when it doesn't really work in this format. But what we're going to really focus on here is emotions, personality development, and attachment. So just to remind you, in each of these sections, we're talking about infant development at this point in time, so the first 2 years of life. We've already covered physical development, cognitive development, and now we're in our last section. So the first thing I want to talk about is emotions. If we really think about it, emotions are very adaptive for us. They are really important for us to communicate with other people. For example, we're able to look at somebody's facial expression and know how they're feeling, right? So, Inside Out does a lovely job with this, right? Like we know what fear and anger looks like. So it helps us to communicate with others. It also helps us with behavioral organization. So how do we act, right? When I'm angry, what is the next step, right? It might be, I want to fight something. Or if I'm really fearful, I might want to run away. So emotions really play an important role, and they're very adaptive for what we need. So how emotions develop over time during infancy is that we start off with our primary emotions. These are the things that are emerge super early in life. You can see a lot of these experiences within even the first, newborn babies, right? They experience pain. They might be disgusted. Like if you give them something, they might wrinkle up their nose in disgust or spit it out. And so within the first, 6 months of life, we should be able to see all of these primary emotions. This is also, if you think about emotional theory, the idea is that these primary emotions are also seen across cultures. So it doesn't matter what culture we're in, we have these expressions of joy and anger and fear and disgust, for example. It isn't until we start to develop some self-awareness, which we'll talk about when we get into personality development, that we start to see more self-conscious emotions. So things are like jealousy, pride, empathy, or embarrassment, right? So in order to be embarrassed by something, I have to know that there are other people and to feel the emotion of embarrassment, right? Like it's like, I did something wrong, or something like that. So it's like I have to have a sense of me. And we won't see that until about 18 months of age. And again, we'll get into what that looks like. So I just wanted to show you these pictures of babies. And can you guess what emotions these babies are showing? So hopefully the first one, you can see happiness, sorry. The second one is anger. Third one is surprise. Let's see. Or interest. We have our lovely disgust. Sorry, this is surprise, not interest. Some sadness and some fear. So these really young infants are showing you all of these basic emotions. And infants have to be able to communicate. What are they feeling, and how is that going to influence humans, right? Other humans, right? So babies use crying. So at first, all crying is undifferentiated. You just hear the same types of cries. It doesn't matter if that baby's in pain or if the baby is hungry. It's all going to be the same cry. But you start to differentiate these within the first couple of months of life. So there's that basic cry where it's really rhythmic, a brief silence and rest, which is differentiated from an angry cry. So when a baby is frustrated and angry about something, you might hear a lot more force. And pain is a lot of crying very loudly, but also holding in their breath. So parents are able to distinguish between these different types of cries, even if it's not their own child. I think I saw some data that said that like parents are good at telling whether or not it's a positive or a negative cry, but that's about as good as they do. So, yeah. Another way that they communicate is through smiling. It's obviously really important when babies smile. At first, it's just a reflexive smile, a smile that happens just about for any reason, right? So a baby might pass gas and start smiling. It might be just a smile that they have when they're sleeping, right? It's not really in response to anything. It's just a smile. It's not until about 2 months of age that you start seeing a social smile. So they start to smile in response to a parent, giving them, tickling them or, cooing at them, that you start to see them really develop that social smile. And if you think about it, like that's going to change how parents and children interact with each other, right? So when you have a baby that's smiling at you, you might smile back at the baby, and it might start increasing that amount of interactions that you really start to see. So our social experiences will shape our emotions, and this happens as early as infancy, right? Caregivers are going to change their facial expression. So if their baby's crying, they might give like a sad, empathetic look for that baby, right? If the baby is sad, they might also try to do something like shape their experience, like being more positive. So you do see that like parents are doing things like ignoring more of the negative emotions and imitating positive ones. And so this is starting to shape what emotions we think of as being, useful for us. And so caregivers really are socializing their infants from really early on. This reminds me of a family that I saw, and the mother was very depressed, really flat affect, and her 9-month-old child was the exact same way, just kind of like very serious baby. And over the couple of weeks that I saw this family, and we did lots of things like, singing a song at the end of the day and everything else. It wasn't until, 5 weeks in that this baby started showing these like really big emotions and started to smile and be more interactive with the caregiver. The caregiver was also getting into it a little bit more. And so you see this back and forth that was really quite lovely in how caregivers can shape those emotional expressions. I would show you this video if I had internet, but since I don't, I'll have this available for you to watch, that infants actually do understand other people's emotions as well, and they start to get this knowledge relatively early on in life. So I'm going to end this little section on emotions, and next we'll talk about infant personality development.